There. This is the Superpower Radio Show with your host Brenda Major
Mia Dawson.
and this is actually one of our holiday shows and we are so thrilled to have with us Valerie Bernal and she's in Queens, New York. And she's
Woo
already told us that
woo.
it's like raining cats and dogs there. Valerie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
This community, this superpower community is what we call it. It just brings together like-minded people who are, supportive of each other. And what Mia and I have found is we have met so many people who know what their kids need, but can't find it, and so they create it. And that's exactly what you've done. So tell us a little bit about your journey. Tell us a little bit about Parker and Talia and how all of this came about.
Sure. So Parker and Talia are my children, and they both are very, very sensory sensitive. So from a very young age, I never really had clothing for them to wear. They threw a fit with for every little thing. Actually, my son is older, he's 9, my daughter's 5. So when my son was young, I really had never heard of sensory sensitivity, sensory issues, anything. I didn't really know much about the world of pediatric mental health care. And then,
Mm,
once he was probably about 3 is when we started noticing some things that were different, but he's our first child. So you don't know what you don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
with Parker, the poor thing had to deal with a lot of uncomfortable clothing and socks. And, we just did the best we could trying to find stuff, but it was always challenging. So fast forward to my daughter with her, I started to really, after going through some mental health battles with my son and really learning a lot, I crash coursed in everything. I
Mm.
learned about sensory issues and had never heard of them before. And I thought, you know what, maybe this is something that's bothering her when she screams and I can't put a single sock on her. I mean,
Wow.
she was wearing rain boots
wow.
for a whole year straight with no socks. It was
Wow.
just, it was
Wow.
really difficult. So I then decided, you know what? I think I'm going to try and make some clothing that my kids will wear. So I started with the socks. And my background is I've been a fashion designer for the
Mm-hmm.
last 20 years. And I have a lot of connections with the factories, so I kind of just worked and developed a sock that was a little bit of everything I needed. There's no bump at the toe. It's super soft bamboo fabric, and that's how we started. And I tried them out on my kids. They were my models. And if
Mm.
they didn't like it, we scratched that version and went back and kept tweaking it until I found some socks she would wear. So that's how the company started, was really just me being frustrated and sad for my children because they're in pain constantly,
Yeah.
and I don't want them to live like that. That's so horrible. You have to wear clothing every single day, and it really
Right.
affects you.
Wow.
Even me, I don't really have sensory issues per se, but if I'm wearing something too tight, I'm angry all day.
Mm. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, it's hard to be uncomfortable. So that's how the company started. And then from there, I just made items of clothing based on things that were bothering my children in hopes that they would also help other kids. So the next thing was the pants. My daughter could not stand anything around her stomach. She would always put it
Mm.
like way down below her belly button, nothing tight.
Wow.
So we did a pant that had a really super stretchy elastic waistband, and
Mhm.
again made of bamboo, really soft fabrics. And everything just kind of goes from there. And I hear from parents all the time, and I'm always taking into consideration things that they're looking for and things that they need, and
Mhm.
working and tweaking and developing new things to just try to support these superpower kids and get them comfortable during the day.
For sure, for sure. So, why do you think that the sensory-friendly clothing is so important to superpower kids? I mean, I know that there are sensory issues, but does it help them? Does it put them in a happy place?
So, I like to think of it as it's really hard to focus and be in a good mood when you're uncomfortable. And
Mhm.
uncomfortabilities can be different things for different people. And even with children that have sensory issues, those are not a one size fits all. What works for my
Mm.
child might not work for another child. So it's kind of like a constant learning curve with parents with children with sensory needs to try to see what works for your kids. So a lot of these children, what might feel a little uncomfortable to us, like a tag might bother us and we're like, oh, whatever, but I'll cut it off. But for those kids, it still has the strings. Or if something is a little bit tight, it feels like it's just suffocating them. So the sensory issues is actually a mental something with the neurological pathways of your brain, where your brain cannot process the sensory input the way other people's brains do.
Mhm.
So that can lead you to be super sensitive with things, and it can also lead you to be not sensitive at all. Some kids are sensory seekers, so they like to
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
weighted
Hmm.
things or want really tight hugs because they're not getting the sensory input that they need. So there's different sensory things for different kids. Some kids want to barely feel touched, and some kids want like super tight fitting weighted things. So it's kind of, and it really affects the way that they can participate in the day, the way that they can participate in school. They can pay
Mhm.
attention more just because they're more comfortable. And that's one less thing that's going on in their brain and causing
Mhm.
them to go into sensory overload because they feel like they're being squeezed all day or scratched all day. Someone's
Yeah.
sitting there scratching your skin all day, it's gonna affect you. And that's kind of how kids feel that have sensory sensitivities.
That's
Hmm.
really interesting. I remember Mia, I remember you saying you tried the weighted blankets with Neo and he didn't like them.
I was just thinking about it. He did not like them. And
Yeah.
so they were trying, telling us certain things that kind of get him to the stemming and all that. And maybe that would,
Mm-hmm.
but we spent money on the jacket, we spent money on the blanket, and he did
Wow.
not like them at all. And
Mm.
so that's when I had to kind of research and figure out, oh, wait a minute, this is not for every kid. He
Yeah.
doesn't like this. This is something that, we needed to, and we end up, once we took it away, he was a lot better.
Wow.
So it
Wow.
was more of, he
It was
just didn't need it.
overstimulating
It
him,
was
probably.
Hmm.
overstimulating him. He
Mm-hmm.
just didn't need it.
Yeah.
But and I know about clothes. I'm thinking about you, the socks. So he doesn't like, we have to buy a certain brand because he doesn't want he really can't tell me, but he's like, I want these. These do not feel tight around the top part of his,
Yeah.
under his knee. And
Mm.
so we would buy socks. I know people have bought him socks for Christmas. He's like, he didn't like them. He wants these Hanes white pair of socks. But he's more concerned about them not being tight around the top of his,
Mm.
like
Around
right
the
up under
Yeah.
his knee, around his calves.
okay.
So,
You're
and
wearing
that's
some
when
high socks.
Yeah,
yeah,
they are.
yes, they're high socks. And I'm like, dude, you don't want the
Thinking the
ankle
same
ones.
thing.
He don't want the ankle ones. He doesn't
Wow.
want, I'm like, you want no, I want him to cover. Um, tags did bother him without me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to figure that out because he couldn't verbalize that to me when it first
Mm-hmm.
started, but I knew tags bothered them.
Yeah.
Um, he actually probably prefers short sleeve, but he knows it's cold and he has to. But I think he actually prefers if because when he gets home, he takes it. He's like he's in a t-shirt and short. Yeah, he doesn't really like
Hmm.
pants and all that. But we try to find comfortable things. So it's definitely an issue, and people may not. Our caregivers, our listeners, you have
Hmm.
to kind of explore that because it can affect them. You're absolutely right
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, and to your point, they can't always verbalize it. Some kids are not
Yes,
able to tell you. So, you
Hmm.
know what? You might as well just give it a try. If they
yes.
seem like they're getting upset every single morning when you're getting them dressed, then there might be something to explore there with changing the clothing or the socks up a little bit.
Was your children, were they able to tell you? Did you
They
know, or
were
did you have to figure it out?
Well, they were able to tell me to a certain extent. I mean, they were kind of saying everything's bothering me. So you have to kind of like dig in and ask the right
Hmm.
questions to find out what everything is. And then
Okay.
oh,
Mm.
it's actually your toes. That's that's everything. Yeah.
There's so many adults that are the same way, neurotypical
It's
adults that are
true.
just irritated and angry, and they
That
can't
is
tell
very
you
true.
why. Yeah, they just
Yes,
can't
that
tell
is
you
true.
why. Valerie, I learned from, your website and your emails about,
That's true.
sensory processing
Did I
disorder.
did I freeze again?
I think maybe,
Okay.
is
Am I
everything
back?
good?
Sorry.
Yep, you're back. You're back now.
Good. Okay,
I
we're
think
good.
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
I was off out for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
storming
I'm
where you
back.
are,
Okay.
cold where we
All right.
are. Everybody good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about sensory processing disorder and how's it diagnosed?
Sure. So, sensory processing disorder is, as I mentioned before, just the way that certain people's brains process sensory input. And
Mm-hmm.
that is touch, it's scent, it's hearing. So a lot of kids have a huge sensitivity to sounds. I recommend the noise canceling headphones to everyone because they really help my
Mhm.
daughter a lot. Um, so it's any kind of sensory, touch, everything. So that's the way that your brain kind of processes that information. And it is, as I said, not a one size fits all diagnosis. It's not something you can go and get a blood test on and they'll tell you right away what's going on. It's usually a process of trial and error. There is oftentimes another diagnosis that goes along with it. Um,
Okay.
Children are rarely diagnosed with just sensory processing disorder. And in some medical communities, it's not even recognized yet. It is a newer disorder that they're kind of learning about even to this
Okay.
day. But I think families of children that do have sensory processing disorder know that it is a very real thing. And if so, the way that you can kind of figure it out is usually you will see an occupational therapist, and they can kind of do different things, different play things with the kids to to figure out what's bothering them. Really, it comes down to what's affecting them in their daily life. If they can't eat anything at all because it's the texture in their mouth, and that would
Oh,
be
yeah.
a thing that you need to get treatment on. Or if you can't wear any clothes, or
Mhm.
you can't stand the smell of anything. So an occupational therapist knows all the right kind of things to ask children and play things to figure out what exactly is bothering them. And then they'll usually work on a treatment plan. They'll work on giving you some like sensory integration things throughout the day, taking sensory breaks. Maybe they'll ask you to wear something weighted. Maybe they'll tell you to have fidget stuff, have a quiet
Mm-hmm.
place and where kids can go and kind of decompress. I know that even now some doctors' offices are doing a little like special sensory friendly room for kids where they can sit if they need to go take a little break. Our One of our
Mhm.
local museums has a sensory room and it's nice and quiet and it has things.
Mhm.
It has nice low lighting and nice sounds. So all of these things just really help kids not have a sensory meltdown.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when children are having a big tantrum moment, it's not really a tantrum. They could be experiencing severe sensory overload, and it could have been prevented if you had integrated some of these things. And it's nobody's fault. It's just you have no idea where it's coming from. So I like to think when my kids are having a big tantrum now, instead of
Mhm.
just getting upset and punishing them, which I did plenty before in the past, but now it's like,
Mhm.
okay, what's going on with them? Did they get it? Are they tired? Did they get enough exercise? Is something smelly right now? Like try to figure out other reasons why they could be having a meltdown. Um, so yeah,
Wow.
that's it. It's not a one size fits all diagnosis. An occupational therapist, if you're concerned about maybe
Mhm.
your kid might have something going on, you can definitely talk to occupational therapist about it.
Okay, that's great
Wow.
advice because
That's great advice. Yeah.
as I'm listening and we know parents who we were talking
Yep.
earlier about parents who just snap out of it, just grow out of it, just
Yes.
how
Yep.
long did it
Yep.
take you going through? I'm sure it must have been frustrating for you.
Yeah.
And at what point did you decide, you know what, let me just go all in and try to really just be a detective and figure this out?
It happened. I don't know if it happened all of a sudden, but it was sort of a bit little progression. During COVID, my son was when COVID first started, he was 5, I
Hmm.
believe. 4 or 5, and he just went through a mental health crisis.
Mm,
And for the first little bit of it, we thought it was COVID related. We're stuck inside, it's
mhm,
just this is what it is. But then some really serious things started happening. We had to go to the emergency room a bunch of times for suicidal, homicidal behavior for a
right.
5-year-old, which is,
Wow.
alarming. And
Wow.
and that's when obviously we knew we needed to get some help other than a pediatrician or a doc. And it's really actually sad the times that I took him to the emergency room,
Mm-hmm.
I got eye rolls. I was told, you know, you
Wow.
can't handle your 5-year-old
Wow.
son. Like, what's
Oh
going on? What
Wow.
do you expect us to do? And then there were 2 times that my husband took him to the emergency room. Oh, they pulled out all the stops. They got a private room. They had a team of doctors come and investigate
wow.
him. And he was the hero of the hospital. I was so mad. It's
Wow.
so
Yes.
sad this day and age that a mother concerned about her child is treated so much like she's somehow faulty. She
Yeah.
somehow did something wrong and can't be a mother to her child. Whereas my husband, he's
Mm.
just good for you for going to get help and try to figure this out.
Oh, wow. That's
Wow.
unbelievable. That
Yeah,
is
so really
unbelievable.
through those emergency room visits, the summer of when he was 5, and
Mhm.
is when we decided we needed to get some psychiatric help. And even then, we were on a year-long waiting list just to have him see a Zoom psychiatrist. I
Oh my
was
goodness.
I
Not
was
even in person.
not even I mean, it was during COVID, so nothing was in
Yeah.
person, but
Well,
you
yeah.
think their
Uh,
schedule might open up a little more when it's just all
Yeah.
Zoom. Um, but yes, that was a very, very horrible long year. We saw therapists, a few different therapists. We had therapists quit on us, say we can't help. So we started with therapists because no one wants
Yeah.
to think that your son needs psychiatric help at the age of
Right.
5. That's not the
Right.
first place that you go.
Right.
So
yeah.
we started out seeing a therapist, and she basically told us like your son has things that therapy can't help with. He really needs to get
Mhm.
regulated. He should see a psychiatrist, and we there's nothing I can do really to help him. And that's not the first therapist that kind of we've had so many bad experiences with
Oh.
therapists. It's just very sad.
Oh.
We had another
Mhm.
therapist tell us that he was a sociopath.
A
And
5-year-old?
At
yeah, and
5?
the reason she thought he was a sociopath is because she told him, like, if I stab my hand, what would you do? And he said he would laugh. And it's because obviously he knows it's a joke that she's
Oh,
just, he thinks she's pretending because they're doing play therapy. And so then
okay.
she proceeded to talk to me and my husband separately and say, we think that your son's a sociopath because he said he would laugh if I stabbed my hand. I'm
Oh,
like,
come
okay,
on.
all right, that's nice.
That's
Wow.
nuts. That's nuts. This
Wow.
woman must never have seen cartoons.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Yes.
then once we saw a psychiatrist that,
Yeah.
we started getting some more answers. And I talked to his kindergarten teacher at the time, just saying, I think there's something going on.
Mhm.
What do we do about getting tested and seeing if he can get, any special things happening at school? So at the
Yeah.
time, the schools for the IEP, they're supposed to give you somebody to do the formal um, testing and kind of
Yeah.
see what
Mhm.
diagnosis he is and what services he needs. But
Right.
there was also a year-long waiting list to do that through the
My
school.
God.
And it was also only through Zoom. And because my son had to do kindergarten through Zoom, he was very triggered by computers. I mean, to this
Mhm.
day, if he sees a computer, sometimes he'll throw it across the room. It was
Oh.
traumatizing for him to have to
Mhm.
Wow.
be on the computer
On
every
so much
day
of it.
for so long. So I
Mhm.
knew that there was nobody that was going to be able, no doctor was going to be able to test him on the computer and get anything real. So then
Mhm.
we had to pay out of pocket to see a clinical psychologist to get him this
Wow.
diagnosis, which not everybody can do. And it was a struggle for us
Right.
Yes. Wow.
That's unbelievable.
at the time too. But
Yes.
it's horrible. Your insurance company. So
Unbelievable.
that's how we ended up getting the diagnosis for him, was just paying out of pocket to a clinical psychologist. But really, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with insurance companies right now, and I just feel
Yes.
like something needs to change there in a big
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
and with the schools. I mean, I just really feel every single time
Oh man, she's freezing.
All right. I'm hoping she comes back.
every
Oh,
year when I
okay.
go into the IEP meeting for the school, they don't feel like they're in a, I'm in a, am I back? Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay, I don't know where I left off, but I was just saying,
Thought you said with the schools, that's
The
something needs
school.
to change.
She's freezing again.
e- even with schools, am I back? Oh,
You're good. Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Oh, is it good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So no, I was just saying, even with schools, I feel like I'm always fighting for his IEP services every single year. It doesn't feel like you're in a partnership with the school sometimes, with my school at least. So it's just challenging. Parents really have to know to advocate for themselves and just
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately be ready to fight tooth and nail to get your kids what they need.
No kidding. No kidding.
Oh,
So we are super excited to do, a collaboration with you.
yeah.
Um, this community, when we were talking about it before, it's when you see the need, and we were so impressed with you, Facebook groups, and that's where we all connected. And we're so glad we did. I think Mia um got wind of you and checked to make
Yes.
sure that you were real.
Yes. Make sure she was real. I'm like, okay, Brenda, she's real.
So we know that, there that the sensory issue is so important.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
it's so important that we really have a far-reaching effect. And
Hmm.
so, thank you for teaming with us. Tell us a little bit about this collaboration that we're so excited about.
Yes. So
Yeah,
am I good?
you're
Hmm.
good.
Am I frozen again? Am I frozen? I'm good.
Good.
Yep. Good.
Uh-oh. Now
Uh
frozen.
oh. Now frozen.
Am I I'm okay? I'm
Yes.
good. I'm sorry. This keeps happening.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Oh,
Okay. So, yes, our collaboration. So, first of all, I just love your superpower community. And I'm just so happy to be in collaboration with you both. And I think really we kind of aligned in our missions, just wanting to embrace these superpower kids and their families and support them in any way possible. And even my brand is not just about the clothing, it's about building a community and
Yeah.
resources and just being able to be there for each other and help each other learn and grow. So I think both of our missions were so aligned. We were doing an amazing collaboration. We're doing a special collection just inspired by Neo and everything that he embodies, his kindness and just laughter and everything. I mean, I love
Yeah.
the Neo books are amazing and the artwork is amazing.
Oh no.
So it was just a natural collaboration. Okay. So we have a great special collection of sensory friendly clothing that will have the Adventures of Neo artwork. And we're just super excited to give it to the community and build more of a community and just keep um, embracing inclusion and our superpower kids.
Yeah, I'm so
Oh,
excited. We saw some prototypes and they just look so vivid and so much fun.
yes. Yes.
We're
Yes.
just
Yes. Yes.
really excited, really excited. So, Valerie, I know we've this connection's been a little shaky and we're gonna see how this goes.
okay.
Um, so when this is released, how will people get to these items and how can they get to them now, through your collection, your current collection?
So people can go to our website, which is
Hey,
www.
Neil.
Oh, Neil,
Hey, you two.
hi. That's a
Juicy
nice
boogie.
surprise.
It really was.
He wanted to say hi.
Yes, that's so
Hey.
I'm
nice.
like,
So cute.
It's fun.
That was perfect timing,
It
Neil.
really was. It really was.
Okay, so they can people can reach go to www.parkerandtalia.com, and there you can see our classic Parker and Talia collection, and then there is also a special page called Neo times Parker and Talia, and that's where they can shop the extra special Adventures of Neo collection with all his beautiful artwork on the clothing, and yeah, we're just super excited.
We are incredibly excited to partner with you. We're definitely going to have you back on. Apologize that the internet's a little bit shaky. I know,
Yeah, when it's not
the weather's
storming.
weather's crazy everywhere. Before you go though, can you share with us what you feel your superpower is?
So I think my superpower would be my. I'm frozen again. I'm back.
No, you're
Yep, you're
good.
back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my superpower is definitely my ability to hyper focus. I think I mentioned to
Mm.
you before that
Mm,
I was actually diagnosed as an adult with ADHD about 5 years ago after
Oh,
going through stuff with my own kids and realizing there was some similarities with
yeah.
myself. So
mm.
I really I never saw my ability to hyper focus as something that was a superpower. It was always, I couldn't pay attention to certain things and really just kind of learning more about life changing.
Okay. Okay. And how neat that you actually use that as a superpower because you do so much.
Oh, thank you.
And you've got such an incredibly positive attitude. Just going on your site, it's just so life affirming.
Just like, yeah, yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good word. That's a
It
good word.
it
Yeah.
really is. It's cheerful. Um,
Yes.
and we know that there are caregivers who don't always feel cheerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's so many, cheerful images there, and there's so much great information. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm literally looking at your site or reading an email from you on a weekly basis and learning as I go. So we're
Yeah.
definitely going to have you back on.
And
Um,
I think, Valerie, we appreciate that about you, that it is, like Brenda's saying, cheerful and kind of inspiring and all that, because she's right. You kind of we hear a lot of the other side. So it's nice to hear and get a sort of a break from that, because that's why we even started Adventures of Neo, and that's why I reached out to
Mhm.
Brenda to help, because you need a break from all the therapies and
Yeah.
trying to get through that. And so having like clothing and it's vibrant and it's happy,
Hmm.
that kind of gives you it relaxes the caregiver's brain to
For
have something
sure.
happy to think about. Yes.
For
So we
Yeah.
really
sure.
appreciate you for that. We really do.
And I love
Absolutely.
that you call things superpowers. Actually, when I was working on our collaboration, my son came over and he said, "Mommy, what's superpower?" And I said, "You know what? When you have some things different in your brain, that is your superpower. It's what
Yeah.
makes you
Yes.
different and special, and
Mhm.
you really should embrace that." And just having that simple conversation with him was so meaningful, and I that's really what you do for the community also. So thank you for being so positive and just, trying to help and support each other, not judge each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Oh yes.
Absolutely. And we always think that even as caregivers that when you're working with special needs kids, whether you're the parent, a caregiver, or just a friend or a tutor or a mentor, it really brings out that superpower in you. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing with us. We're definitely going to have you back on.
Oh
Uh,
Yes, I
yes.
apologize for the connection
oh,
storm
not
over
your
No.
here.
fault.
Oh,
Not
it's not your
your
fault.
fault.
Oh,
That's
our ladies will be
wonderful.
able to figure it out. They'll be able to
Okay.
still, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Our girls will be
Absolutely.
able to figure it out. Yeah.
So, listeners and viewers, if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, or you're going to
Yes.
be listening to us on wherever you get your podcasts. And so we're excited to continue again this collaboration. I'm going to wish everybody happy holidays. And if you're wondering what, gift to give a superpower kid,
Yes.
I would say go to Valerie's website, Parker and
Yes.
Talia.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
check it out. A lot of great stocking stuffers there. The seamless toe socks. We have tons of like chewy necklaces. I mean, my
Mhm.
son chews on everything, and the chewy necklace is amazing.
Awesome, awesome. So
Awesome.
thank
Awesome.
you
Awesome.
again for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Wishing you and your family happy holidays, and we will definitely have you back on.
Yes, happy
Yes.
holidays to you as well. Thank you.